Mute? Nope. We're good. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session of ENG3E, Term 2A, brought to you by WASA Distance Education Center and myself, your instructor, Mike Laverty. Thanks for joining me today. Today is Monday, March the 20th, 2023, and we are on Class 20. So in today's class, we will be delving into into Unit 4. So we are progressing here nicely. So we've completed Units 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, and now we are moving on to Unit 4. There are 5 units in ENG3E, so that's grade 11 workplace English. So 5 units in total. We've got 3 of them out of the way, and now we're on to the last 2. And today's class will cover the first unit assignments, 1 through 5. As I mentioned to you last week, there are no textbook assignments. There are readings from the textbooks, but all of the assignments are found in your handout. So hoping everybody had a great March break, had a chance to spend time with friends and family. I had a great week with my family, with my wife and my 2 boys. We had a great little family adventure together. So I'm wishing everybody the best out there. And we will move ahead. Today is the first day of spring, and it's certainly, a little bit cold out here in Sulikote. Be nice if it was a little bit warmer, but the sun is certainly shining out there. It's a beautiful day, so we will move ahead with today's lesson. So this is week 6 of term 2A. So this is a 9-week course. So we've done weeks 1 through 5. Now we're on to week 6. So we have 4 more classes together, 4 more weeks of classes left. And the last day of this term is April 14th, 2023. So that'll be the final day of term 2A when the broadcast for this will end. And then you will start the final term 2B. And I know I'll be teaching OLC 4.0 again for the second time in this school year. And the remaining courses for WASA will be broadcast during that term. So, important, if you want to sign up for courses in term 2B, now is the time to start doing that and to reach out to the staff at WASA if you have any questions about those courses, especially as the courses relate to you perhaps graduating this year or, just getting one step closer to graduating. So, charting your path forward. Now's the time to start thinking about that before the deadline comes and goes and you miss that chance. So I'll put some contact info up on the screen in a moment. So yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we've got units 1, 2, and 3 taken care of. So we're now on week 6. So we will devote week 6 and 7 to talking about unit 4. It's a bit of a shorter one in terms of how many assignments you need, so might only just need this week to talk about it. And then we will, of course, talk about the assignments in Unit 5, and then have at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. So this is our tentative schedule. It may change, but I'd like to spend a lot of time talking about the final exam and maybe 6, even 8 classes doing so. And we will review some key concepts from the class and put up some mock exams. Like I won't show you the final exam, and I won't show you the questions that we'll be doing on the final exam. But what I will do is I'll show some questions that are going to be very similar to the final exam. So it's the questions that I put up on the screen and the questions that we talk about together will be similar to what you see on the final exam. It'll be it'll you'll have new content to look at. So when you write the final exam, you'll be reading stuff that you haven't read before, but the general approach will be the same. You'll be given a selected reading to go through, and then you'll have to answer questions about that text to identify, the purpose of the text, why it was written, how it was written. So you'll break down a text, answer some questions about it, and then, of course, you'll do your own writing. So you'll produce your own writing, you'll analyze the writing from other people, and that is the sort of the foundation of this course, is reading and writing. We try to develop other literacy skills, but your reading and your writing skills, that's your foundational skills. So we'll spend plenty of time getting ready for that final exam. So if you're registered in a term, you have the 9 weeks of courses, and then the week after, students will write their final exam during the following week, or they'll complete a course culminating activity. And the course culminating activity is similar to the final exam, but instead of having a timed 2-hour test, you'll be given an assignment to work on your own time. And then you'll hand that back in, get graded. It's still worth 20% of your final mark. All right, so if you're listening to us on the radio at 91.9 FM, thanks for joining us. Please know that you can always phone into the studio at 1-800-465-7144 or 1-807-737-4017 to ask a question, ask me to clarify something, just chime in with your own thoughts and words, have a conversation with me, share a story, a funny joke, whatever the case may be. That'd be awesome. You can also listen to us at Bell ExpressVu channel 972. And if you go to zoom.us, you can participate in the classes through Zoom. So if you've got a reliable internet connection, please go to zoom.us. Click on the join, and then once you click on join, it'll prompt you for a meeting ID, and ours is 417-6699799. And of course, I'm seeing that lots of people are watching on YouTube, so that's awesome. All you have to do is type in Laverty Wasa, so Laverty space WAHSA. You'll find my channel, Laverty Wasa, and you'll find ENG3E classes there. And they're organized into different playlists. So there's Term 2A, which has all the videos, and then you'll find Units 1 to 4. So as of this afternoon, I'll upload new content, and you'll see that the playlists are organized, so you can, if you're looking for help on Unit 2, for example, you can just log in and do that. Just watch the ones on Unit 2, and I label the videos according to which assignments are covered. So it'll either be in the title of the video, in the thumbnail, and you'll also find it sometimes in the description of the video. So if you're looking for, like, say for example, like Unit 1, you're having a hard time with questions 7 and 8, you can just find that video, and I try to make it as easy as possible for you to do that. So just please note there's many ways you can submit assignments. So you can email myself at mlaverty@nnecschools.org. You can fax pages to our toll-free fax number, 1-800-463-7852. You can take photos and send them to me through Messenger, through email. And, of course, you can talk to your local DEC, get help that way. Just know that there's many ways you can get the work to me. So either digitally or, scanning them out or having the Learning Center send them to myself here in Sioux Lookout. So just note that there's many ways you can do it, and it just needs to be legible. I just need to be able to read it from my end. So just a friendly reminder to submit your work into small groups, like say 5 to 10 assignments, and that allows me to provide you with feedback quickly and to guide your future work. And write down as much information as you can: your name, your community, your course code, and the assignment information. Please reach out to the WASA office. Talk to me directly at mlaverty@nnecschools.org. Find me on Facebook Messenger. That's Laverty WASA. And phone the WASA building at 1-807-737-1488. I'm at extension 2211. Or the toll-free number, 1-800-667-3703. And just, your suggested progress so far, 5 weeks into the course, you should have made contact with myself in some way, either by phone, email, messenger. You should have read or skimmed the study guide, Units 1 through 4, completed all the assignments from Unit 1 and Unit 2, and started working on assignments from Unit 3. So I like to put this up as a reminder to you to keep yourself on task. And even if you're registered as an independent learner, it's really important to give yourself some kind of a deadline for completing the assignments. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're rushing through all of the stuff at the end of a term or the end of a school year just to get it done. You're going to stress yourself out. You're not going to pick up the skills you need. And I'm not going to have the time to give you feedback on your writing and your assignments. So that's the most important part. So, I really enjoy that part of the process. I love reading people's work and giving them feedback. So, and it's important for you to get that feedback, right? So that's why it's important to maintain those timelines. So we'll start today's lesson with our image of the day. That's Labrador iron ore. We'll look at unit assignments 1 through 5 from Unit 4. And we'll have a look at the assigned textbook readings from the road ahead. So Film Dispels Myths About Down Syndrome and Iron Ore by 54, the song. Learning goals for today are to review Unit 4, Attaining the Quest. So we'll have a look at the unit itself. Do a close reading of 2 assigned textbook readings. So the 2 that I just mentioned, Film Dispels Myths About Down Syndrome and Iron Ore by 54. And we'll review the writing process to complete some of our unit assignments. Your success criteria, so you'll know you're successful in today's lesson if you can take notes on the required assignments for completing Unit 4, Attaining the Quest. And brainstorm ideas for completing the first 5 unit assignments from Unit 4. And practice the writing process. So if you can do those 3 things, so take notes on the unit itself, brainstorm some ideas for completing the first 5 unit assignments. So as you listen to my recording or as you watch my recording or whatever the case may be, it'd be great if you could take some notes, if something kind of jogs your memory, if a thought comes to your mind. Today we're talking about an adventure or a journey you had taken. So if you can think of a quest or like some kind of an adventure that you took, you can perhaps jot down some notes on what you want to talk about as you listen to me doing that. Talking about some adventures and quests that I've taken, and and practice the writing process. So we'll review that 5-step writing process today, and get you ready for that as well. So So just give me one moment. I would like to load up the Unit 4 PDF that you need to complete this assignment. That you need to complete all the required elements of Unit 4, and just have a quick discussion about what's contained in there and what you're going to need to finish that off. Just give me one moment. See, everybody's moving slow after the March break. My computer is taking its time here, but just give me one moment. We will, let's see here. Okay, let's just shut that down. Oops. Yes, we'll shut that down. Okay, whoops. And just bear with me one moment throughout my technical difficulties here. I am pulling up my course material. Let's have a look at Unit 4. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I think we're okay. No. That's okay. Okay, so here we are. Let's share that screen. Alright, so we're looking at the course handout. So this is what you need to complete your unit. So it's an 8-page document with a table of contents. Okay, so in this unit, you'll be reading about people who have achieved a goal. You will read materials that you might find in various workplaces, and you will also continue to read about and reflect upon issues as you have all along your journey in this course. Making decisions about issues you face will continue to help direct your path as you strive to achieve your goals in life. Achieving each of your goals will give you a sense of accomplishment along the way. So I really like that. One of my favorite books I've read in the past few years was the book Atomic Habits. And it's, atomic habits meaning like really small habits and, making little small changes in your life. I think that's a really good approach, to celebrate the small victories and to, of course we celebrate the big ones like graduating high school and all that, but just, working through the small ones and having a sense of accomplishment each day, right? So each day's not perfect and you have good days, you have rough days, but just finding some sense of accomplishment and knowing that you can achieve the things you need to do and the things you want to get out of life. And some days are harder than others. I personally had a pretty rough morning myself. Kind of getting out of being off work and just shifting into a different state of mind. And just a lot of stress, and even though being off work is good, but traveling kind of stressed me out. But yeah, just getting myself into a positive mindset took a little bit of work this morning, but I feel a sense of accomplishment for finding that focus and planning my lesson for you here today. So if we look at page 4 of the handout, you'll see that the table 1. These are the assigned readings, so these are our selections from our anthology, The Road Ahead. So today we'll talk about the two of them, Film Dispels Myths About Down Syndrome and Iron Ore by 54. So you are required to read these assigned readings, so that's from The Road Ahead. And then we also have the assigned readings from Making It Work, so our handbook for reading and writing and literacy studies. So we have how to write a report and how to analyze and create advertising. So you have those two assigned readings from Making It Work, and they're all connected to the assignments that you see here, assignments 1 through 12, I believe. No, 14. So there's 14 unit assignments you have to do. So all of your assigned readings are connected to those assignments, and even if they're not directly connected to them, they will assist you in writing them. They'll give you general strategies for completing the assignments, and they'll also help you with your final exam, right? So it's all leading in that direction. Everything is building up to you writing that final exam and your course culminating activity. So we have the 14 assignments that you need to hand in. And then we, of course, have the culminating activity, which I will address once we've gotten the unit activities out of the way. Excuse me. This one is culminating activity, a workplace report. So we're working on a very specific kind of document that you will write and you will read, depending on which workplace you're in. But most office workplaces have, reports that are issued between coworkers, but more on that later. But we'll spend some time working on that. This is a breakdown of the course culminating activity, and you'll use the writing process to finish that assignment off, and I will spend some time today and the classes this week talking about the writing process and how we use the writing process to complete our any writing activity in this course and any writing activity that you may do in the future. Okay, so with that, I will open up my slide decks again. Just bear with me. Brain's not quite functioning at 100% capacity. We're getting there. Okay, so alright, so while I'm waiting for that to figure itself out and to load itself up, I'm gonna share my browser with you. So we're gonna start with Iron Ore by 54. So that's a song that is found in our anthology, The Road Ahead. And it's a song that has to do with a specific region of Canada. In this case, it's Labrador and Newfoundland. Just one moment. Before I do that, I need to... there we go. Let's shut that down. Just give me 1 sec. I just need to pull up my meeting file here. Okay, close. Let's go open. Okay. Oh, I think I did something. I didn't shut it down properly last time. So all right, just bear with me here. That's the first time that's happened. I think I messed up that file when I tried to open both of them at the same time, but that's okay. That's good. I've got a backup here ready to go. Okay. Yeah, so it's so the Iron Ore by 54 is a it's a historical poem about a specific region of Canada, Labrador and Newfoundland, and it's about the extraction of iron ore, and in the year 1954, and the hardships that were suffered by the crew, trying to move this, this resource, across the country, and trying to, put down the railway line to ship the equipment, to build mines, and then once the mines were built, to move them that way, in and out. So, um, let me just see here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. That will do just fine. I think that's what we'll have to do for now. Just to save time. Whoops. Right. Okay. So, all right. Ah, yes. All right. Yes, I could do it from the PDF, but if you just bear with me, I'm just gonna bring this up in my preferred software, and it'll work better for all of us. Okay, now where was I? Whoops. All right, so just good to pull it up on a map so we can all, see it, and if we're listening on the radio, I'll do my best to describe it. Right, so we're looking at the map of Newfoundland and Labrador, which, like a lot of territories and provinces in Canada, cover, a massive amounts of geography. So this one is, about the Newfoundland and Labrador region, and this story is taking most of this song is taking place in northern Quebec. And if you glance through the poem itself, which I'll read a little bit, for you, you've got the North Shore, so which is like the North Shore of Labrador. You've got, you may have heard of some of these places like Ungava, right? So that's, okay. There we go. Hopefully that works. Okay. If not, I'll have to just use my PDF file. Maybe. Oh, there we go. There we go. The technology's working for me. All right. Thanks for your patience, everybody. I think I've got that figured out. Ooh, it's been a while since I've had these kind of glitches, but here we go. Okay, moving right ahead. Okay, so our image of the day is this is like the current state of operations, but this iron ore, it's still an industry that you see in many parts of Canada, and it still exists in Labrador, in northern Newfoundland, and it's it still employs lots of people, and in these massive mining operations, and the iron ore is sort of characteristically, it's got it's rich in oxygen. It's got that kind of brown rusty color, right? So when the iron oxidizes and mixes with oxygen in the atmosphere, and it creates that kind of rusty orangey kind of brown red to it. So these mines are still active. It's still a huge part of the economy in that part of the world. And as it was, in 1954, in the mid 20th century, when this song was written by a man named Alan Mills, and two of the questions are related to that song. So I'm jumping a bit around here, but I'm starting with question 5, which is, where is Labrador located in Canada? Name 2 towns found in Western Labrador. These towns, 65 years later, are still important locations for iron ore mining. So that's simple. All you need to do is just consult a map of the region. The map being the most maps that people use today is the Google Maps. It is the easiest one to use. If you've got access to an actual map, that's awesome. You can use that. So you just need to locate a couple of other towns in that region. So in Western Labrador. So that's the region we're looking at. So you just got to locate a couple of towns in Western. So if we just type in Western Labrador, Newfoundland, and so we've got this region right here with some great names, like we got Black Tickle, Paradise River, Cartwright. I'm just looking at some of these ones, right? So it's up to you to just just pick one of these ones. So that one caught my eye, Black Tickle. So there we go, a remote Aboriginal settlement, a population of 87, right? So that's pretty much it. Just locate a couple of First Nations or communities in this region of Western Labrador, and just tell me where Labrador is in Canada. And so with that, you can do a few things. You can say like where it is relative to where you are. You can talk about like its longitude and latitude. That's always a really helpful thing you can do when anytime you look for something on Google. It'll give you the latitude and longitude. So just tell me where it's located in the world, where it is in relation to other things. It's part of the mainland here of North America. How far north is it compared to where you live? Maybe how long it would take you to get there. So yeah, just briefly just say where it is and where it is in relation to other things, and list two towns in that region. So that one's fairly simple, but use full sentences when you write those assignments. Write them out. Don't just write them point form. Write a full sentence. So Labrador is a region in Canada that can be found. ... You fill in the blanks, and 2 small communities found in this region are this and that. Whatever those communities may be, and then you might want to just say how many people live there. Whatever you can do just to give me more information. So that's after doing a little bit of research about the region. Fill those questions in. Unit assignment 4 says, in the song Iron Ore by 54, a journey is described in which there has been a quest to mine iron ore in Labrador. Name some challenges that the workers face to achieve their goal. So that's 4 or 5 sentences, 5 marks, okay? And so it's important anytime we look at one of our assigned readings. So these are song lyrics, and I've got the first 2 verses. I guess it's a combination of a verse and a chorus up on the screen, and so the song has a very repetitive pattern to it. It's written in these 5-line stanzas or verses, I guess they would be, and they all have a very repetitive pattern where you'll have an end rhyme, so me and country, Labrador and or. So you've got two. So you've got what we call a couplet, and a couplet is 2 lines that go together and they rhyme. So you've got the couplets. So 2 couplets and then the refrain, or so we call it the refrain or the chorus. And that's the part that goes over and over again in the song. And so it's by a guy named Alan Mills. It can be found on page 136 of your anthology. There is a YouTube recording that you can find out, but I'll do my best sea shanty for you here today. And it tells a story through song and through rhyme, and yeah, so it's, come ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. I'll sing you a song of our North Country, a song of the man who broke through Labrador, bound north to Ungava for rich iron ore in July 1954. So that repeats throughout the entire song. In Quebec's northern wilderness no man had trod, till rich iron ore had been found in its sod. To bring out this treasure brave engineers swore, to blast out a railway into Labrador by July 1954. So you've got this repeated phrase by 1954. So there's an urgency. They've got to get this thing ready by 1954. So 'twas in 1950 the work was begun, and up the St. Lawrence the workmen did come, Canadians and foreigners, 2,000 and more, all joined in the battle to get at the ore, by July 1954. In planes and in barges and bateaux galore, which is of course French for boats, they hauled their equipment right up the North Shore. So not to be confused with the North Shore of Lake Superior, but the North Shore of Labrador. And from 7 islands the bulldozers' roar rang out through the wilderness, let's get the ore. Through 4 years of hardship the workmen did toil, in winter they froze and in summer they boiled. But though at frostbite and black flies they swore, they stuck to their dozers to get at the ore. It's straight up the Moisey they blasted their way, through mountains of rock by night and by day, and then through the forest and muskeg they tore, and all headed for Knob Lake to get at the ore. 360 miles north did they push, and laid down a highway of steel in the bush. They called it the North Shore in Labrador, and true to their promise they brought out the ore by July 1954. Now fill up your glasses and let's drink a toast to a wondrous achievement of which we can boast. And when we have finished, let's fill up once more and drink to the workmen who brought out the ore by July 1954. So you're just asked to talk about the hardships that were that the workers went through. So name some of the challenges that the workers faced to achieve their goal. So you might want to just chart out the song. Each stanza talks about it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Stanza 5. Through 4 years of hardship, the workmen did toil. So if you want to talk about, so it took them 4 years to do it. They're in some pretty rough, remote territory. They're blazing a path. So just talk about why the work is hard. Um, List some specific examples. So write. You're gonna write in full sentences, and I'd like you to quote and to cite the lyrics, right? Right. So put it in quotation marks. Um, you know, frostbite. That's one they mention, right? So just quote the song directly. Just let me know. What made this quest challenging. Okay, now we'll move on to the other assigned reading for today. That's the film dispels myths about Down syndrome. So the first question reads, the word quest in the unit's title means a journey for adventure. The word adventure means a daring or unusual experience. If you are attaining the quest, you are therefore reaching or accomplishing something adventurous. Describe an adventure that you have had recently or plan to have in the near future. An example of an adventure would be spending a night alone in the bush. Actually, no, sorry, I need to we'll come back to that one. Let's start with question 2. In the article, Film Dispels Myths About Down Syndrome, a young girl named Laura has attained a quest. What is this quest she has attained? And the other question we have is, using the internet as a resource, find some information about Down syndrome. You are to print one page to submit, along with a brief summary of what you have discovered about Down syndrome. One paragraph containing at least 6 sentences. So I'll read the article, and then we'll have a quick discussion about it. Dalt Mercer is thrilled with the television movie debut of a very special person. His granddaughter Laura, 11, has one of the starring roles in the made-for-TV movie Jewel. Dalt, who's a retired high school teacher at Sutton District High School, is proud of Laura's performance, the first ever for her. That's because, besides being a very talented actor, Laura is also a role model for other children like her, children with Down syndrome. It just shows what these children can achieve, Dalt remarked. They can and do lead very productive, successful lives. The movie, which stars Farrah Fawcett, recounts the struggles of parents with Down syndrome children decades ago, when they were labeled mongoloid and stuck into institutions. It's really well done, showing how terrible these children were treated in the past. It's changed so much since then, Dalt remarked. Laura, who's the daughter of Dalt's son Gordon and his wife Kathy, was part of a small acting group in Port Perry. One day earlier last year, Kathy saw a little ad in a newspaper calling for extras to appear in an upcoming movie. She sent in Laura's photo and was called to Toronto, and instead of becoming an extra, she landed one of the lead roles. Jewel was shot in Pickering last summer. I was able to be on the set one day. It was pretty exciting. They were wonderful with her, Dalt remarked. The film's producers also sent a tape of the film recently to Laura. It's a terrific movie, and she's great. Maybe there's a little grandfather pride showing, but I think the film was very well done. Laura's now in the Professional Actors Union and could well be on her way to a successful acting career. Laura's other proud grandparents are Doug and Joan Payne of Island Grove. She's also got a sister, Brienne, who will be watching Laura's TV debut. So, after reading that, you just simply have to, write in full sentences and talk about the quest that this young girl achieved. And it's a pretty amazing story. So this is an act of, in a sense, you're writing a summary of the article, and more specifically, what quest did this young girl achieve? Question 3 is you're doing some research, and this takes a little bit more time on your part. That's why it's worth the 10 marks. So you're going to do some research on Down syndrome, and then you are to print off one page to submit along with a brief summary of what you've discovered about Down syndrome. So you can just simply, as we've done before in this course, just either save a PDF or just let me know where you looked. And I've got my screen up here, and just want to just quickly mention. So I mean, interestingly enough, International Down Syndrome Day is tomorrow, Tuesday, March 21st, 2023. So you might see some stuff on Google and might see some stuff on social media talking about this syndrome and what it is. So if you just simply type that into Google, you know, um, the Wikipedia page is a great place to start. It gives you lots of information about it. I like Wikipedia. I often find it's an excellent place to start, and it leads you to a lot of good sources. So always good to mention that if we scroll down to the bottom of this page, which is quite extensive. There's a lot of information here. You'll find some references about Down syndrome, and you'll find some articles there's actually 176 references mentioned in this Wikipedia article. Not all of them are going to be able to be accessed. Some of them you might have to pay for, but it's certainly, I would suggest doing that, even reading the first like 5 or 6 paragraphs, especially this main entry. So technically it's a genetic disorder caused by the presence of all or part of a third copy of chromosome 21. So it's in a sense an extra chromosome that which is what produces the like the symptoms or the effects of Down syndrome. It is caused by this extra chromosome, which for people who don't have it, it sort of it manifests itself in different ways. Now, the Mayo Clinic, that's an excellent resource you can go to. So I would suggest doing, that would be a great one. Kidshealth.org, another great source. A lot of like countries will have like associations that help people, or like international groups. So we have the globaldownsyndrome.org. We have the Canadian Down Syndrome Society, right? So this is a resource that I would recommend. I would recommend. Whoops. No, I don't want coffee. Why did they do that? Yeah, so the Canadian Down Syndrome Society, the CDSS, is one place that I would recommend going to. They're going to have lots of useful information. So, like anything, when you do research online, you're going to find a lot of useful information. You're going to find a lot of misinformation, a lot of wrong information, stuff that's out of date, stuff that's not really relevant. But that's why I would suggest going to an organization like the Canadian Down Syndrome Society, whose mission is to advocate for people with Down syndrome, help out parents, help people who have Down syndrome, raise awareness. So they're going to have tons of resources. They've got one right here about Down syndrome. So that would be, I believe, would be an excellent resource to look up, and then just let me know what you learn by doing that. So that's one place I would highly recommend you go to. And for all things, an official association, and bottom line is any time you do online research, you want to focus on finding a source that is vetted, that is an actual organization that can be held accountable. And that's what I like to tell students when you do online research. you want to do research that's backed up by a lot of people and has a name and a date and something you can cite and point others towards others. You know, misinformation can be hard to spot, but when you do a lot of research and there's no person behind it, like if there's no author behind it or there's no organization behind it, then the information becomes a little bit suspect, right? So you wanna think about the purpose and think about the creator of the content and who's putting out the content and what stake do they have. Why are they putting the information out? Do they want to profit from it? Like a blog about Down syndrome might be important. Just one person talking about it, like say a parent or a person who has Down syndrome, that'd be great. But I think for the purposes of this article, I would recommend going to that association. There's the Down Syndrome Association of Ontario, right? So that's another one. So that there's a Canadian association, but there's one specific to Ontario. I saw there was one for Toronto. So I would recommend going to one of these associations and then sort of take it from there. And then what you'll want to do is you will want to use the writing process to craft your paragraph, a paragraph containing at least 6 sentences. So that is, you do some step 1 is you do some planning, and the planning will be the online research phase. So you want to gather up a whole bunch of information, and then you're only writing one paragraph. So maybe you'll wanna pick off step 1, you do your research. That's the planning part of it. And then step 2, you're gonna want to do some writing. And I would focus on 2 to 3 points that you can talk about. And then you can revise those. So that's when you organize your research, right? Or your findings. And then step 4 is where you edit. And step 5 is where you publish it or send it to your teacher. So for step 1, when you do your research and your organization, I would just strictly focus on getting information about Down syndrome, finding some reliable sources, find 2 or 3 points about Down syndrome that you can share, write those points down, and then revise it accordingly. Find your organize your findings, talk about the order you want to talk about them, any interesting things you found out. Then spend the time editing it, going back and reading it out loud, asking somebody else to read it, using all of the tips and tricks that I've shared with you along the way. Go for a walk. If you can record yourself reading it out loud and go back to listen to it, that's the best case scenario. Using different colored pencils, working on a rough copy to produce a final copy, so you don't always have to show your rough copy and show your final copy. For this one, you're just writing a final copy, but I guarantee you writing a rough copy and turning that into a final copy will help you get the full marks in this course. And then, of course, once you're done editing, you will then publish it by emailing it to me, scanning it, sending it in Facebook Messenger, whatever the case may be. So that's all the time we have for today's class. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.